that one. It's a beautiful piece.
Great. Well, arco voltaico would translate, you know better than me because you are an engineer. I think that is electric bowery, isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay, so it's a pun of words because the electric violin has a bow
Right.
and it's electric. So that's why electric bowery, arco voltaico, and the whole album is centered on just a violin, a looper, and a reverb processor. It's a very small setting, a set very portable. You could put it in a small bag and travel with it. So it's music that is made with very few things, and even that even so it does not sound as a single instrument because of the looper. I consider that my instrument is the violin, my instrument might be the keyboard or the guitar, but undoubtedly my instrument is the looper. The looper is, it can be understood as an instrument. And from early on, when I was playing the violin, trying to do things myself, I began to use long delays and then loopers to make a lot of layers and to work as a kind of orchestra. Well, so Itaki, it's well, the whole album Arco Voltaico has something to do with the legend of Icarus. So it has to do with Greek, with the ancient Greece, and Ithaki is the place, the island from where Ulysses came and he wanted to return. Okay, so by the way, Ulysses is another album.
You put together, yeah.
You see, there is a kind of imagination that goes around about those Greek legends or myths. Well, and Itaki in the album Arco Voltaico has 4 parts. There is Itaki 1, and there is a kind of development, and it all has to do with a poem of a Greek poet called Cavafis, who wrote a poem called Ithaca. Ithaca is Ithaki, it's the island from. It's the place where you want to go back. It's the moment where you stop searching and you begin to find. That is this is a metaphor about that. Well, and it's all done with a looper and electric violin, following. Everything is orchestrated on the spot, made on layers on the looper.
Understand. The other track that I really like is the Árbol de las Ilusiones from the Sami EP. That's another beautiful piece too, and feel free to elaborate on that as well.
Well, thank you. This is a hybrid piece because I decided early on to not take an only approach to music, but to change approaches. So this could be the opposite. Árbol de las Ilusiones, or Illusions Tree, it's the opposite of Arco Voltaico, in the sense that it's post-produced and edited and mixed. It's a mishmash made at the digital audio workstation. So in the DAW, I put together different things. There is a experimentation, a bit of experimentation that I made with looping some sitars, zithers, Okay, and there are bits of a live concert. The ambient moments that are on the piece are recordings, live recordings that I put together, and then all the synthesizers are played on the studio later. So it's like a huge collage that I hope that you don't realize that it's a collage, and it's very representative of my sound. That is it's a piece that could summarize very well my sound, um, except for it doesn't have a lot of violin. It has an ambient middle part made with the harmonics of a violin, but not much violin soloing, which could be part of my sound. Except for that, it's very, very well, a very good representation of my sound.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. And I noticed that you have done over 500 shows, presentation, and wow, that's a lot, man. They're very
That's a
impressive.
lot. Yeah, because you were talking about Robert Fripp some
Yeah,
minutes ago, and when I was 16 years old, I read an interview with Robert, who was saying that he was out from King Crimson because King Crimson was a dinosaur. He was saying that in those days, and that he was favoring small mobile units. So when I read that, it stayed with me. It stick with me, and I thought I will be one of those small mobile units, so that I could play everywhere. I bought later. I bought one of his free Pertronics vinyls, and it has on the cover, on the flip side, it had the list of the concerts he had done with the free Pertronics, and I knew because I had read some interviews that he would travel only himself with the guitar, two machines, and an engineer, and he would go all around Europe with a small setting. So that's why he could play so many concerts. So he was my role model from very early, and I thought, well, my set will be a small one because I want to play everywhere. So my set is basically a violin that I can carry here, and with a little bag, a small bag, 2 or 3 pedals, and I can play everywhere. I even have a very small amp that I could carry here, like if I
really.
have to go, well, it's like a bag.
Yeah,
So if they don't have a sound, I can, if the venue is not large, it's not very big, I can even bring my own sound. So that's why it's been more than 25 years that I play gigs, solo gigs, and it's not hard for me to arrive to anywhere, go and make my show.
yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. That's a good analogy. The way you put it together. Another album that, and I really like this one. In my opinion, well, they're different. All the stuff you have done, but in my opinion, the best stuff you've done is Amber and Topaz. Yeah, it's
Well,
I didn't wanna to pick a track in particular. That's why I say the whole album is very beautiful, man. Very, very beautiful. Very, very well
thank
put.
you. I'm very happy that you like it.
Uh,
Well, that album was made without me knowing that I have that I that I had made it.
yeah,
I mean, it was a summer, and I was in my studio just trying things out. And I on those days I had a DAT recorder. Do you remember DATs? The little cassettes.
The little
Digital.
cassette, yeah.
Okay. So what I did at those times was from my mixing console directly to that recorder. I recorded everything. So I received later that year an email from Japan asking me for my newest album, and I sent them another different thing that I was working at that was pretty experimental. And I told them, I have this that is pretty experimental, and I have some tracks that I've been working on last summer. And they told me, send us please both things. And they chose the tracks of the summer. That is, I considered something that I was like a work in progress, not something finished. But they realized what I did not realize, that is that that work was ready. So they released it in Japan. And there is something I could say very clearly what I was working at in each album. Yeah. I mean, in the first album, I was working with a pedal board and the looper, yeah. And that's all. And it's like kind of lo-fi, because it was very like what I play, that is a record.
Gotcha.
Then I changed the setting, and it was still violin and processors, but more hi-fi. I mean, I changed it, no more pedal board and a mixer and high quality processors, always in real time. And that was Lunar, my second CD. Is a violin and processors, but with a very careful sound, very like a polished sound. Then there is the third album, that is Escuela de Vuelo para Anfibios. It's all the work with toy instruments and electronic processors. That is, from my second set, I took the processors, but I kept the processors, but took out the violin and put their toy instruments.
Yeah.
So then come my fourth album, that is Amber and Topaz. And what happens there is that on my second album, Lunar, there were some moments where I tried to play all the instruments into the looper. And then going on with that thread is that I come to Amber and Topaz. The idea was to play all the instruments, mostly into the looper. And I feel influences on Amber and Topaz of that 70s music that I loved. That's why it's an album that I'm very fond of, because it sounds like My Heroes or something like that. It has influences of that 70s sound. Not exactly, but somehow.
Okay, and in terms of your general career, now that you are at home, do you miss touring and then playing live music? I mean, do you go crazy that you cannot, play that much live music you like? Some people, like, they're a studio musician, right? And they don't want to interact that much with people, and they do a concert here and there. And other people, they want to go on the road for a long time and so forth, which is very difficult to do if you have a family and so forth. But do you miss touring and playing playing live music in front of an audience?
Not that much.
No, much? Yeah.
Not that much. I mean, um, when I was young and we were speaking about my childhood and my teenage days, I also started painting.
Yeah.
And the painter does not perform in front of the audience. So sometimes I feel that if I cannot play live, then I can be a painter of sounds. So I'm not very concerned of not being able to play live as long as I can play and record here.
I got you. I understand. Yeah.
So making music, making music has different expressions. You can do it in front of an audience, or you can do it in front of the recorder of the recording
right.
equipment.
Absolutely right.
So, or you cannot even record, but just studying things. So I think that the important thing is making music, no matter how. Play it for yourself, play it for the camera, play it for the DAW, play it for the audience, but make music.
Yeah, great music. In all those shows that you have done in Argentina, in Latin America, in Europe, in many other places you have played, is one or two memorable concert that you look back and say, man, everything clicked that night. The weather was great, if it was outside, or the setting, the orchestra, and the other musicians played unbelievable. Like you want to go to bed and say, this is it. I cannot play any better than that. Is any one or two that you look back and say, man, I remember that? Those
and probably those were the concerts, the more underground concerts.
Yeah.
No, because for instance, we have here in Buenos Aires, we have a clandestine venue.
Yes.
It's clandestine. It's out of the law, but it's called una casa.
Yeah.
It's a house, an old house, and there is an underground, really
like a basement. Like a basement.
Yeah, a basement. There is a basement. You have to say a password to get to the place, because you don't get to the place. So when I went there to play, there were 30 people in the audience, no more. And I played there a lot of times because I like the place. The sound system they have is ridiculous. It's very old. It's broken. But all the same, it has humidity in the walls. But I don't know why. Every time I play there, it sounds great.
Yeah.
So maybe those extremely underground shows are my favorite. And also I am playing shows here in this studio where we are talking now, because this is my home, and my studio is now in my home. It's a big room here, and in not pandemic days, where people can gather and be together, you can have here 10 or 12 persons.
Oh.
So I played a couple of concerts here for very, very few people, 10 people, and I enjoy it absolutely, because this is my place where I have all my instruments, and the sound check begins a week earlier of the show, because I live here. So I begin to check sounds, instruments, change things, change cables if there is something that I don't like how it's working. All sorts of things. I can do it with very a lot of days in advance, and then if the show is a concert is on Saturday, I am sound checking on Saturday morning at my place, and then I have lunch and keep on playing. So when the audience arrives, I am absolutely ready, and the sound is the sound that I want. This is my place. Well, so this is something that I like. Maybe I will go on with this after these pandemic days.
Like a small concert, small setting, 10 to 20 people at home. Well,
Yeah,
you gotta invite me one day, man. When I'm in Buenos Aires, you need to.
of course. You are invited right now.
Okay,
Consider yourself invited.
thank you, thank you. Feel free to
I will
elaborate.
say more. When
Sorry.
when you come to Buenos Aires, I
Yeah.
have not announced the show. I will announce it as you are able to come.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I told you, I don't know if I told you. I told Ulises, my dad uh, had like a big music collection, tango. So and jazz. So I began listening music when I was a baby. That's what my dad told me. That uh, the first, according to my dad, right, the first two things that I listened to, I believe, they were Louis Armstrong and then Carlos Gardel. You know, that's what, or or Pugliese. I forgot now. You know, Pugliese Canaro. I don't remember. But no, there probably was Carlos Gardel. I don't know. And so my dad they have a lot of connection with your country and for the music. Yeah, he had a lot of music. So I began listening when I was a baby. That's what I began. I bought my first record, a Jean-Luc Ponty album in 1976, right? And then the rest is history. Like you, I'm collecting stuff. So tango was part of my life. Feel free to elaborate on the instrument. And not many people know that I think it's called tenorion, right? I think it was designed by Toshu Iwai and produced by Yamaha. Feel free to elaborate on that because this is an important instrument for you, and
Okay.
you can show it if
Maybe
you want.
I could put it close for
Yeah,
you to see because it's there. It's
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah. Of course.
If you give me one moment, I
Yeah,
will prepare it for you.
yeah. If you will, right?
Mm, yes, well, it's a shame. I will show it to you. And anyway.
Yeah,
It,
from that angle is fine. You don't need to take it out, right? Right. I got you. Yeah,
okay. Well, so these are LEDs.
yeah.
These are LEDs, and every LED has a function. Okay. Um, okay. For me, it's a very powerful instrument. It's actually a sequencer.
Yeah.
It's a sequencer of 16 tracks, which is a lot, and not all the tracks have the same behavior. So it's very interesting because some of them are cyclical, but some of them are not. Um, my next album, that is called Noche Niño Remolino, it's due in August. It's entirely done in the tenorion.
Oh, got you.
It's a 45 minutes work. It's an only work of 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's entirely done on the tenorion without any other instrument. So you can imagine that if an instrument can hold such a long time is because it has big capabilities. It's very interesting, and I use it live because I was interested in some things that the violin could not offer in my solo concerts, and still being a small mobile unit. So this is a very, very small instrument that can come with me in my bag, and does a huge amount of things, mostly rhythm things,
Yeah.
things that have to do with rhythm and polyrhythm, because that's the part of the percussion, is the area where violin cannot cannot work. I have made some experience beating on my violin, beating on different places of the violin, and achieved some results, but very limited. So I began to work with different things to cover that area, and so I came to know the tenorion, and it's a very important companion to me in my concerts, because, well, it gives a new area to the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I saw a video. They sent me one that you're doing with. I think it was your living room and like 10 people sitting there, and that was beautiful. It sounds very, very good. It sounds very, very good. So it was. I'm very happy with your music, man. Hopefully this show and the radio will help you to get the word out there, and then when you upload the interview to, for people in Latin America know you, but people in Europe and United States that don't know your music, to give you a try. And I'm glad that this interview is in English, and people can listen to your music. And I mentioned I want to be doing a show because your stuff is very good, man. I need to be heard. It's a lot of great music coming from
Thank you.
from.
There are lots of musicians all around the world that are known by just small groups
Yeah,
of
right.
fans, of connoisseurs, of people who knows, and we don't have a massive audience, but we are known by small groups of fans.
Yeah.
And of course, we all appreciate that, but we would like to be known by larger audiences.
Yeah,
So,
no, it was something quite sure that we will end up doing maybe a part 2 and a part 3 in the interview, because there are too many topics that we want to cover in the future. And it was very nice talking to you. And I like your music. I'm glad that you do it, not for the money, but because you like the music. And if you can get an income out of it, that will be great as well. But feel free to say a couple words in Spanish for some people in Latin America that are going to be listening to the show. So go ahead.
perfecto en español.
Sí, claro, claro.
Buenísimo. Bueno, me encantaría que en Latinoamérica, en nuestra casa hispanoparlante, podamos ser conocidos los artistas que hacemos músicas nuevas o músicas no convencionales, músicas que están por fuera de modas o de corrientes, y que tienen una búsqueda genuina y una búsqueda sincera de nuevas estructuras y de nuevos sonidos. Así que los invito a escuchar. Está todo ahí disponible en el caótico mundo de Internet, pero están invitados a escuchar y a investigar lo que yo hago. Y ojalá verlos en mis conciertos, sería bárbaro.
Perfecto. Thank you very much, Sami, again for your time, and I'm quite sure we'll do a follow-up interview. And it was very nice talking to you, and I love your music. You're doing very well, man. Thank you again, man. Have a great afternoon.
You.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm very glad to talk to you. And sure, when you want to go on, we can go on.
Absolutely. Thanks again, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it.